Hey guys, so I'm in my backyard right now to do a video that a few of you requested. It's going to be on the process of cleaning bones. Most of you have been asking just about degreasing, but I thought since I'm covering degreasing I might as well cover the entire process and stuff just to be thorough, and because I can, really. If I don't cover everything in this video, I deeply apologize. So if you guys have any other questions and stuff, I'm going to post a link down below for a website that I usually go to in case I myself am not sure of how to proceed next and stuff. So hopefully that helps if I don't cover everything. So obviously the first process in the guide to cleaning bones is actually getting the animal that you're desiring to clean. So most of my animals that I get, sorry, I keep staring at my neighbors. They're probably thinking I'm a crazy person talking to my camera. But anyway, the first thing you need to do is acquire your animal. Most of my finds are roadkill, so that's really easy. Plenty of roadkill this time of year. So you're going to get that, and what I would recommend to do first is get a bucket, like some of these. As you can see, I already have some bones. They're pretty much ready to be degreased. This right here is remnants of a raccoon that got hit on the highway near my place. This is a squirrel that I don't know why it died, but it was in the forest at my cottage, and it was completely fine, but it was dead, so here it lays. And here is the remnants of a rabbit that also got hit near my house. Now, right now we're going to be mainly focusing on this squirrel, just because it's the most ready to be degreased. So, like I said, you're going to get a fairly big bucket, depending on the size of your animal. They obviously won't be looking like this right away. You're going to have to go through the process of maceration, or to macerate it, which is a fancy word for pretty much filling up the bucket right there with water and letting it rot out. Again, the details of this will be posted in the website I'm going to post down below. So again, I'm not going to go into technical terms, but once that process is complete, it looks, again, more like this. The water's going to be clear and everything. You're not going to have anything rotting, no animal soup going on. So once it looks like this, you're actually going to start the degreasing process. A couple tips before we get to degreasing. One really helpful thing I found that's really good to have around is, if you can right there, I don't know if you can see, I'll just go closer. Be really close to a hose of some sort when you're outside. See, mine's not that far from, well, it looks far with my camera, but it's not that far from the buckets. So you're going to be able to change the water quite often because, again, you don't want to be bringing that stuff inside. It's really smelly, which brings me to my next point. It's probably a really good idea, if you're going to go with this technique, to have some land and not be right directly beside neighbors, because this does kind of produce a lot of stink, and it might be also a little bit overwhelming at first for somebody who's new to this, because it's, again, it's the smell of death. It's not pleasant. There are other techniques if you don't choose to use this one, which is understandable. Not everyone has the land and can tolerate the smell. People sometimes use these little beetles. I can never pronounce their names properly. Dermatest beetles, something of that sort. But anyway, many museums and universities, they'll have colonies of these to strip the bodies of many different specimens that they have. So if you can get your hands maybe on that, then go right ahead. You don't have the issues with stinking and buckets sitting there forever and you having to tend to them. So if that's better, go right ahead with that. But again, I don't know if everyone's going to be able to have colonies of these beetles on hand either. So choose what you like in regards to that technique. Alright, so now we can finally move on to the actual degreasing process that I keep talking about. As you can tell, this is just an old soy margarine container. I moved the squirrel bones into this just because the other bucket I had was like way too freaking big. So what you're going to do, or the technique I use, because there's a couple different ways to degrease your bones, is use plain old magical, but not magical, Sunlight or dishwashing soap of some sort. Again, there are other techniques, but this is probably one of the most cheapest and easiest ways to do it. So what you're going to do, again, oopsie, if I can open the darn thing, just put a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit, you know, like you're washing dishes, even though it's bones. I'm in my basement, if you can tell, by the way. Sorry, I'm just waiting for the water to warm up. You're probably going to hear really demented noises because my water heaters are really screwy down here. Alright. So, you're going to fill this up with water. Just like that. Get it nice and frothy. Put this down and turn this off. Okay. So, like I said, just plain old dish soap, and you use warm water, not hot, because if it's over 80 degrees centigrade, it can start to damage the bones, so not too hot, just plain warm water. And what you're going to do, I'm putting it beside a bunch of other bones, as you can see, that are in various processes of degreasing. In case you want to know what that is, that's a raccoon skull, that is another squirrel, a random bone that I found on a rock at my cottage that I think is also from a raccoon, and I have snake bones there. But anyway, I have a lot of bones. You just let it sit here for about a minimum of 14 days, give or take, because each animal is different and has different grease levels in its body. You'll be able to tell once it's pretty much finished, because the water won't be like discolored of any sort. It'll be clear. There won't be any grease. Oh, something I didn't mention while I was talking about degreasing is that obviously every couple days you're going to want to change the water to new warm soapy water, just because the grease is going to get drawn out by the dish soap, if I can pronounce it. And you're going to just want to, again, discard that and put fresh water in, and once you notice that no more grease is getting sucked out of the bones, then you know it's done degreasing. So I'm back again, randomly in the same shirt, which I didn't even plan, but whatever. And my bones have been sitting in water for a little over 2 weeks. I drained the water, obviously, as you can see. Here's the skull. It's a little less green than last time I put in there, so I think the soap probably took care of that. So what you're going to do now is start the bleaching process. Now, you don't use actual bleach for the bleaching process, as misleading as that sounds, but you use hydrogen peroxide. Or, whoopsie, that's a French slide, sorry. Hydrogen peroxide. I use 3%, just because that's the easiest for me to get my hands on. I just buy it at like a drugstore or pretty much anywhere. And yeah, you pretty much just pour it in here. If I can, sorry, 1 second. Don't screw it. Okay. Anyway, you pour it in like I was saying, just gently. Just like that. You only really need enough. Sorry, goodness. Sometimes skulls float because they have air trapped in them. There we go. It's best probably to put it upside down so it doesn't float like that. But anyway, you only need just enough to cover all your bones, so you don't have to use a shit ton if you don't want. Like this much in like this little container, I don't know if you can tell the size, was like, it only used this much of the bottle, like right where my thumb is. So but it's always good, like you see over there, I have like, well, these are empty, and so are these. I don't even know why those are there, but I bought a bunch of extra. It's always good to have some extra peroxide on hand if you're not sure how much to use. So anyway, like I was saying, you use peroxide, not bleach, because bleach will totally fuck up your bones. It'll turn them to bone meal in a couple years. And you will let that sit for about 24 hours, usually for most bones. If you're having difficulty and it's not coming clean within 24 hours, I would say I comfortably keep them in the hydrogen peroxide for about 3 days. But even then, that's like pushing it for me. But again, everyone has a different preference, so you do what you like. On the skull bleaching note, one tip I wanted to give you guys is, if you can start to see, I only put this in just now, but it's starting to foam up and everything. You can actually use hydrogen peroxide about 2 or 3 times until this foaming action stops, because the foaming is actually like showing that it's cleaning the bones and stuff. So if you guys want to save a little bit of money and just be a little bit more eco-friendly, you can use your hydrogen, or recycle your hydrogen peroxide about 2 or 3 times until this foaming action stops. Alright, so now we're back again. It's been about 2.5 days, and as you can see, the bones have whitened. I don't know if I should say considerably, but they've whitened a decent amount. And even if they haven't whitened to like super bright white like this or whatever, I usually don't mind. Some people do, but I like a little bit of color still left with my bones. But yeah, anyway, I am just going to put you guys down for a minute, because the next thing I'm going to do is take one of my empty peroxide bottles and hopefully try to transfer. I don't know how this is going to work. There's a bunch of little floaty bones that keep getting in my way, but I'm going to try and pour this peroxide over so I can reuse it like I spoke of earlier. I'm probably going to... Oh! Thought I was going to spill, but I didn't. Yeah, so this is why I keep spare peroxide bottles. If you guys are wondering, I'd suggest that you'll probably accumulate a lot eventually if you do this bone collecting on a regular basis, because you're going to need to bleach your bones. Darn it. I have to hold that skull, otherwise it's going to go flying. Hang on. Okay. As you can see, this is kind of hard to do by myself. You might want to get somebody to help you if you can, to hold back some of the littler bones that sometimes float forward. There we go. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get. I'm just going to close this and I'll put it over there. So, pick you guys back up. This is what the bones look like. I'm just going to pick up the skull to show you. Oopsie. So, that's what the whitened skull looks like. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Sorry guys. Anyway, my next and final step that I'm going to suggest is actually filling this up with some water. Or preferably actually rinsing it off a little bit first. Dumping some of the water over to get that, whoopsie, not drop your skulls because you don't want them to break. Anyway, okay, rinse them off and then just gently fill your bucket up with water. Ugh, the skull always floats. They have such a large brain cavity. Hang on, I always have to turn it over. There we go. Okay. Ah, my god, things are flying everywhere. I'm so sorry. Gotta turn this off. Okay. So, you just let it sit in water, at least I do, for about a day. That way it'll get all the residue peroxide that's still kind of chilling around the bones and stuff. It'll just kind of go in the water and you won't have excess residue peroxide all on your bones. So I'm gonna go put this over here and I'll let it sit for a day and I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, so it's been a day and as you can see I've drained the water that was poured in there yesterday. And right now what you're going to need for the last step is a couple of spare sheets of paper. Just whatever you have lying around, preferably stuff without ink, just so your bones won't get stained by this step that's coming up, which is really easy. You just pretty much start taking your bones. My bunny's wondering what's going on right now. Anyway, you start taking your bones and you just lay them out. Try to make sure that they're not on top of each other like I'm doing. But anyway, I'm not going to do all of it just because it's going to take a while to put them all down. But anyway, you get the idea. Just put them out on the paper like that and you let it dry, and that's it, really. I mean, not much else to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the bones that you have now cleaned, and I hope I helped some people in their questions and queries on how to clean bones. Take care, and thanks for watching.